Good morning, beautiful souls. Happy Magical Monday. If you're on the replay, take a big breath in, and as you exhale, just relax and settle in and get ready to hang out with me for just a few moments while we wait for everybody to join us, okay? And I will just wait for Arnell to let me know that he can see me. Excuse me. And as you're logging in, as always, say hi in the comments. I'll come back and check and see who's with me. And then just begin to breathe a little more intentionally into your body while we hang out and wait for everybody. Thank you, Jizzy. Appreciate you. Excuse me, it's 6:57, so we're going to hang out for about 3 minutes. As you are logging in, make sure you say hi in the comments. And then in whatever way makes sense to you, just bring yourself a little bit more present into your body, into your space, breathing into your I am presence in the middle of your chest cavity. And don't let that just become rote. Really understand your I am presence is the eternal intelligence of the one source creator as the drop, who is you in this infinite ocean of consciousness. That's a mystery and a wonder and a powerful truth. And sometimes in our human struggle, we forget that, even when we're having magical Mondays, trying to stay focused to that and with that. And so use your breath to just fill your lungs and activate that energy while we're hanging out. And if you're on the replay, make sure you're saying hello in the comments as well. And while we're waiting, just check in with yourself. What are you noticing this morning? What are you noticing in your body? What are you noticing in your thoughts? What are you noticing in your emotions? Just begin to connect with all of that. I think we have about 1 more minute to hang it tight while we're waiting for everybody. Excuse me. Okay, I think we're winding down to about the last 30 seconds. If you're just logging on, make sure you're saying hello in the comments. Make sure you're starting to breathe a little more deep into your body. And here we are now, 7 o'clock straight up. I'm going to do what we've been doing because I want to help you stay in the practice, taking your own hands, your jumper cables, where there's energy always flowing out of your hands. Just rest them on your chest cavity and feel the warmth of your physical heart beating in your chest. And take a huge breath in through your mouth. Feel your hands rising as your lungs fill, and then as you exhale, soften your shoulders, relax your body. And if it feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and just focus on the energy in your upgraded command center. Your physical heart is becoming a new brain. Science is proving this. In your heart chakra, the energy of your eternal wisdom and knowledge of your ever-expanding soul as a drop in the one infinite ocean of the Creator resides right there. Don't take that for granted in this moment. Feel it, regardless of what your head is saying. Feel that reality. Feel your own power. Feel your own breath connecting you with that power. What's breathing you is your soul, so your physical body can be animated and expressed in physical form. Don't take that lightly. There's power there. And with your hands on your chest cavity and your jumper cables activating it and your mind being pulled into full engagement here, just say to yourself, I want to open myself. I want to open my heart and my mind and my soul and my spirit and everything about me to a deeper connection in this moment with my higher self. And then just let that be so. And when you're ready, you can take your jumper cables off of your chest. Excuse me. Go ahead and open your eyes. And I'm going to jump right in. So, 2 weeks ago, we had unprecedented solar flares shooting all kinds of powerful energy to the earth. The earth absorbed it, we were activated, and dormant DNA, whether the mind can fathom it or not, the truth is that energy, that physical energetic support from source itself for humanity, right where we find ourselves, was absorbed into your beingness and activated dormant DNA that your soul said this would be the time for that activation. On the heels of that, we just have come through the summer solstice portal on Saturday and Sunday. Yesterday was the 21st and it peaked. And according to the elders, this solstice energy, which is an annual portal that opens when the sun is at its absolute highest, reflecting the light of source onto humanity and ricocheting it back and forth from each other, this portal was very different than any we've lived in our lifetime because of the extra energy that we were sent from source through our sun 2 weeks ago. We've been being told all year 2026 is not a normal year. We're just getting ready to wind into the final weeks of this midpoint. And now we've got this activation that has been the message I sent you on Monday from the elders in the form of a little graphic. We're in this contraction, expansion, contraction, expansion. And you may have been feeling all of that in the days leading up to the weekend we've just come through. And this energy that we're all in right now, we will be integrating for this next 7 days. That's important. Over the last several weeks, we have received 5 beautiful messages in June from the elders. And in that time, we've talked about fear. We've talked about the deeper knowing that exists beneath the fear. We've talked about feeding the signal, listening to the signal, and following the signal. And this past weekend, when we experienced one of the most energetically potent solstice any of us have ever experienced in this lifetime and any other, according to the elders, while we integrate these powerful energies through this next week, today the elders are bringing us to a very simple invitation, and I don't want you to miss this. The invitation is this: pay attention, notice, and become aware of what's becoming visible. I'm going to say that again. This week, as we're integrating the solstice energy and the activation of dormant DNA, broadening your ability to embody the essence of your soul, the elders are saying, okay, this week, team, pay attention and notice. Become aware of what's becoming visible. As I sat with that over the weekend and in yesterday's meditation, I found myself asking this question in my head. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that's not me. That's the elders giving me this question. And that question was, what have you noticed in the first half of 2026? This is not hypothetical. They're asking us to pause. What have you noticed in the first half of 2026? Not what have you fixed, not what have you healed, Not what have you figured out, what have you noticed? That's big. What have you noticed? What's becoming harder for you to ignore? These are ways that are ways for you to explore what you may have noticed and not paid attention to. What truth keeps showing up in your mind or in your circumstances? What conversations keep returning to your awareness? What's looping through your head? What decisions have you been circling around, refusing to make, round and round? What are you noticing? What fear seems to be a little less tight this year for you? Or maybe even just a few months ago, or a few weeks ago, or a few days ago. The elders are encouraging us today, starting with today, to take a moment and really consider that. What are you noticing? Because I think so many of us, so many of you are so focused on what still feels unresolved that you may be missing what has already changed. And the elders are saying this week specifically, pay attention. One of the things, excuse me, one of the things that I've noticed in myself and with people I work with for quite a while, even before this message, even before the 5 beautiful messages of June, transformation rarely announces itself. Most of the time, your transformation is happening quietly, subtly, simply, and it's so easy to miss if you're not paying attention. You know, I know that in having conversations with each of you or one-on-ones, coaching sessions, I've noticed that you're expressing to me that you're suddenly responding differently to something that would have completely derailed you maybe a year ago or even a month ago. I had somebody text me this morning sharing with me their experience with their significant other in a way that was a huge shift for them within this energy. And this happened for them over the weekend, and they didn't even know about this magical Monday message I'm bringing about the contraction and expansion. And I'm saying pay attention. Maybe so I want you to get your brain going while I'm still talking. What has already changed for you? Maybe you noticed that recently you have set a boundary that, I don't know, at some point in your life, but particularly maybe in this year, would have felt completely impossible. But you've done that. You've softened your fear around that, and you didn't even really realize it, but you set a boundary that would have terrified you before. Or you realize that you're no longer asking permission from me or anyone else to trust that you know what you know. That's a big one, because that's my only job. And it's always been my only job to help anybody I'm working with trust their inner guidance. Maybe you've noticed that. I hope you've noticed that. I've noticed that some of you have noticed that in the way that you're interacting with me. Rather than asking me to validate something that you already know is true, you're coming back to me and telling me, here's what I've done. And in the past, you would have said, here's what I'm thinking, should I do this? When your inner guidance is showing you, you know what you know, but we need somebody sometimes for a season to help us trust what we know. And work this contraction and expansion is moving us into the final phase where there is no power outside of you that holds anything that you need. And I'm hoping that you're noticing how you're moving into that capacity, because you are. And this season that we're in, moving us out of June and into July, is a pivotal point. And the elders are saying today, pause and notice, because the change can be so subtle, you might often overlook it. And several times in the last many years since I've been channeling, the Masters of Light and the elders have had me have you just pause and realize and notice and pay attention and acknowledge to how far you've come. Do you remember doing that a few times with me as we've been working together, right? The elders have been saying, hey, hold up, hold up a minute. And this is one of those times. And they're saying, as we're moving into this week, integrating these energies, they're saying, notice what is already evident to you. Don't let it fly over your head. Um, I just had a thought and derailed myself. Oh, so I want to go back to the little solstice graphic image that I sent, because in that, the elders again were reminding us that the light is not exposing our wounds to punish us. And this is so important because this weekend I had a different conversation with a client who um, was seeing some patterns that were really painful and felt like the old patterns. And it's so easy to default into beating ourselves up as if, it's showing up again to tell me how broken I am and how unaccomplished I've become in the work that I'm truly doing. And that's not it at all. The message is, the light is becoming so bright inside of you that it's revealing what's already there, because nothing can remain hidden. And we're not being shown what can't remain hidden to shame us about of our wounded behaviors. It's showing us to remind us that the imprint of that electrical circuitry is not compatible with the deeper signal that's becoming stronger within you. So it's going to show, and it's going to support, and it's going to empower the release of the imprint through acts of grace. And I said last Magical Monday, I asked the elders, what is grace to you? And they're saying energetic release without mental turmoil or struggle. And these contractions and expansions, are moving us into this deeper level of clarity. May was about clearing. The clearing is remaining, but June is about this deeper clarity coming from this deeper signal. And I'm sure plenty of you have had lots, as June has unfolded, lots of emotion come up. Maybe your contractions have been around finances. Maybe your contractions have been around relationships. Maybe your contractions have showed up in your physical body as pain or physical challenge. Maybe some of these contractions have shown up in circumstances that you never would have chosen with your conscious mind, right? But with our soul contracts, here they are. So, as we continue through the month of June, as you feel yourself in the middle of these contractions, and it's easy to assume that life is pushing against you and moving against you rather than for you, the elders are continuing to remind us. They're continuing to remind you that the contraction is not necessarily evidence that something is wrong. Often it's evidence that something is moving. And what's moving can't remain. And what's moving is clearing out so this clarity can show up. Think about think about when you're, and I know a lot of you do this just like I do. Think about when you're cleaning out a closet and purging old outdated stuff, right? Before things get more organized, they often look more chaotic, right? Shit is everywhere as you're pulling it out and starting to sort piles, and all of a sudden before you know it, it looks like a freaking bomb went off in your space that all you wanted to do was reorganize, right? But what you're looking at isn't disorder. What you're witnessing is reorganization. And that's happening in all of our internal landscapes right now. And it's happening in our personal lives. And it's happening in the bigger context of the human family on this planet. It looks like a bomb went off because they have. And it looks like everything is exploding into chaos when it's really being moved into a deeper reorganization. So if you pay attention, if you have been paying attention, maybe you are beginning to notice the clarity that you've been asking for is already arriving. That's what the elders want us to pay attention to today and this week. They want us to notice what clarity you've been asking for, not from anything outside of yourself, but from your own inner wisdom, from the stronger signal of you as source, taking full embodiment into the person that is you, who's been living your wounded persona and now has the capacity to live your fully connected circuitry with your soul in the same body and become this version of you that can appear so differently than the wounded version of us. That clarity is arriving. And it might not necessarily look like dramatic revelations, like a burning bush that I know some in this group have broken away from waiting for. It's not going to come through lightning bolts from heaven. It's going to come through ordinary moments. It's going to come from thoughts that continue to show up, a feeling that just won't go away, a realization while you're driving or taking a walk or making coffee or making your bed or standing in line at the grocery store. It's going to come through ordinary moments. And this week, the elders are saying, pay attention and notice, because the soul often speaks, most of the time, through the ordinary. So I want to encourage you this week not to spend so much time looking for huge signs. Instead, look for the clarity that's already presenting itself. Look for what's returning. Look for what you've already been shown. Look at what you can no longer ignore and pretend that you don't know. The signal is signaling. The signal is transmitting. And from our first Saturday Sacred Circle, when we paused with the question if fear wasn't speaking, your answers came. And they were right there. The theme is continuing. Most people know far more than they think they know. You know far more from your inner guidance than you've given yourself credit to know. And you've given yourself more credit over the time that we've been working together, but I guarantee you there are those of you listening to these words right now in real time with me or on the replay that know more than you're allowing yourself to believe. And that's what the elders are saying. Pay attention to what's already shown up. The challenge isn't receiving the guidance. It's what I said on that Saturday. It's the our challenge, your challenge is trusting it. And so that just brings us back to the simple practice that the elders gave us in the five beautiful messages, and they simplified it. I'm going to review it again. Feed the signal, which means create enough space in your life to hear yourself. That doesn't mean a 3 hour meditation. It means a few breath breaks with intention. Feed the signal and then listen to the signal. So ask yourself what's actually true right now rather than what fear wants to project me into the future with. That's listening to the signal, and then follow the signal. Take the next step the deeper signal is continuing to put in front of you. Not 10, just take the next step. All of you are sitting on the next step. All of you, all of us. What's the next step? What do you already know? Pay attention. Feed the signal, listen to the signal, take the next step, follow the signal. That's where I'm going to leave you today. Before I go, I want you to put your jumper cables back on your chest cavity. Close your eyes, soften your shoulders, and take a huge breath into your chest cavity. And as you exhale, just before we hang up, I want you to acknowledge to yourself, what do you already know? And then I want you to commit to yourself, I'm going to continue to notice and pay attention for this entire week until our next Magical Monday. I'm going to receive the message and the encouragement from the elders today. I'm going to pay attention. And then I'll leave you with one final thing. What do you know your next step is? And before we hang up, commit to taking it. Commit to taking it. I've been taking so many fearful next steps all weekend. I have sent emails of inquiry for rental spaces that makes my body quake. I've reached out and I've initiated all kinds of different conversations because those were the next steps. Nothing is materialized yet, but I knew what the next step was, and I've been hesitant, and I'm moving out of the hesitancy in these contractions and expansions, and I want to invite you to join me. The signal is broadcasting. Your knowing is online. Feed the signal, listen to the signal, follow the signal. I love you tons. I'll see you next Monday. As my tongue got tied. And you make it an awesome week, and I'll see you then, okay? I love you. Bye for now.